$499. That was the magic number that convinced you to buy that 75-inch TV at Best Buy. You did the math. Your neighbor paid $200 for a 65-inch 2 years ago. You're getting more screen for less than half the price. You feel like you just won the lottery. 6 months later, you're wondering why you even bothered. The backlight's dimmer on one side. The smart interface lags when you try to open Netflix. Dark scenes look gray and washed out. Your old 42-inch from 2015 actually had better picture quality, even though this new one has 4K and HDR plastered all over the box. And the worst part, you're starting to realize that $490 wasn't a steal. It was a trap. All across Reddit, AVS forums, and consumer review sites, people are posting the same thing. I regret my TV purchase, not because they bought the wrong size or the wrong brand, because they're finally connecting the dots on what cheap actually means in 2026. The size regret everyone sees coming. Let's start with the one regret that's almost universal: buying too small. Tech experts will tell you flat out. Most people buy TVs that are too small, and almost no one regrets going bigger. The math backs this up. The price jump from a 55-inch to a 65-inch is often $100 or less, but you get 40% more screen area. That's not a marginal upgrade. That's a different viewing experience. One AVS forum user put it perfectly. 9 times out of 10, people regret TVs too small. TVs are like cotton t-shirts. They shrink over time. That's not literally true, obviously, but perceptually, absolutely. You get used to the size within weeks, and then you wish you'd gone bigger. Another person described buying a 49-inch TV for gaming 8 months ago and immediately regretting not going bigger. They wrote, "When I'm watching films, if anything, I'd still like it to be bigger, but it dominates the corner of the room." But here's the thing. Size regret is fixable. You return the TV within 30 days, or you live with it and upgrade next time. It's annoying, but it's not catastrophic. The regrets people are talking about now, those are different. Those are, I made a fundamentally bad decision regrets, and they're piling up the quality trap. Nobody warned you about Consumer Reports doesn't mince words about cheap TVs anymore. They flat out say it doesn't always pay to buy cheap, and the data proves why. It is. Samsung's U7-900F costs $230 for a 50-inch model. Ardings describes it as a poor TV. It doesn't work well in bright rooms due to glare. It struggles in dark rooms because of subpar black levels. The screen looks washed out in most scenes. Consumer Reports gave it a low score. For $230, you might think, well, what do you expect? But here's the problem. Samsung used to make decent budget TVs. The U7-900F isn't just cheap. It's worse than what you could get 5 years ago at the same price point. That's not inflation. That's corner cutting. The LG UHD Series 4K costs $350 to $530 depending on size. Arding says it has bad brightness, awful black levels, and disappointing colors. The only positive, wide viewing angle, but as they note, that will only go so far in a TV like this one that has poor image quality to begin with. And for gaming, it has slow pixel transitions, meaning motion looks blurred. No variable refresh rate feature. You're getting a TV that fails at the basics and also fails at the extras. One Reddit user summed up the budget TV experience. "I regret buying the cheap TV at the electronics sale because it barely lasted a week before the screen went black and the volume stopped working." A week, not a year, not 6 months, a week. The premium regret that stings differently, but it's not just budget buyers who are questioning their purchases. People who spent serious money are having regrets too. One Sony Brovia owner posted on the AVS forum. "That might also be why my Sony X85J is the slowest smart TV in the house by a light year. It will literally drop frames streaming Paramount Plus over Ethernet, which is a monumental achievement considering Paramount Plus's legendary bottom-of-the-barrel streaming quality." Seriously, someone give Sony an award for that. This is a Sony, a premium brand, and the smart TV interface is so slow it can't stream Paramount Plus without dropping frames over a wired connection. That's not a bandwidth problem. That's Sony using an underpowered processor to save $15 per unit on a TV that costs $800. Another user regretted their OLED purchase, not because OLED is bad, but because of the panel lottery. They bought a 55 in LGBA with horrible banding, exchanged it for another 55 in, perfect. Then regretted not getting the 65 in, so swapped for that. Terrible banding. Again, which they wrote. At that point, I already spent way too much time organizing trucks and crap in order to return my other sets, so I was in no mood to go through that crap again. They ended up calling the store to get back the exact 55 in they'd returned earlier, the one with no banding, and convinced themselves the 55 in was fine. Now they're posting online saying they regret not having the 65 in. OLED has kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. This is a $2,000 plus TV, and the experience of buying it was so frustrating that it poisoned the whole purchase. The waiting game that never ends. Then there's the regret of timing. And this one's brutal because it never goes away. A VS forum is full of people asking, should I buy now or wait for 2026 model? The responses are telling. One user said, you can wait until the Super Bowl for deals, but shortly after that new year, models will be released, so you might want to wait to check those out. After that, you should wait because they almost always go down in price shortly after release. Then you can wait until the fall when football starts and see what kind of deals are available. After that, you might want to wait until Black Friday, but 2027 CES is right around the corner, so you might want to wait for that. It's sarcasm, but it's also the truth. There's always a reason to wait. New models coming, better deals next month, next year's tech improvements. One user who's considering a premium Samsung wrote, I will be very angry if I did like the S95D significantly more than the U8N, and I purchased one this year only to see next year's model has significantly higher peak brightness. The S95D was $2,600 when it was released. That's a $2,600 purchase they're agonizing over because what if next year's model is better? What if it drops in price? What if they regret it? Another user responded with the sanity check, I would just buy now. This pressure people feel to constantly wait for the new thing is just insane. If you wait 6 months, then something you are looking at right now might be marginally cheaper, but by then the next thing will only be weeks away. But the new thing will only be a month away from Black Friday sale. The regret here isn't about the TV, it's about the paralysis. And you end up either buying nothing and using a decade-old TV that's genuinely bad, or you buy something and immediately start second-guessing whether you should have waited. The brand loyalty that backfires. Here's a regret pattern that's emerging in 2026. Trusting brand name that no longer deserve trust. One person bought a Samsung 55 in for $1,000 Australian dollars because it was really cheap and regretted the impulse purchase. When it developed a fault and they took it back. Instead of swapping it, they upgraded to a $3,000 Australian 65 in Samsung. Now they're satisfied. Think about that. They had to spend 3 times as much as their original budget to get a Samsung that didn't suck. The brand name didn't protect them from buying garbage. It just gave them a false sense of security. Another user wrote, I regret buying a Samsung 4K too. I giving problems and a lot of headache. Going to toss this mess out the window. I'll go back to Sony Bravia for my next TV. TCL is getting similar complaints. The TCL 75 A3000W and Art TV, like the Samsung frame, cost $1,700. Consumer Reports gave it a lackluster 53 out of 100. Other 75-inch TVs with similar scores cost around $550. You're paying a $1,150 markup for an Art TV that has worse black levels, dull colors, and inaccurate HDR compared to budget model. RTS and Consumer Reports both found it failed to deliver on the basics. You're not getting premium performance. You're getting budget performance in a prettier frame marked up 300%. The features that don't matter, people are also regretting the features they thought they needed. 8K is the big one. Buyers in 2024 and 2025 paid premium prices for 8K TV now. So experts are saying, unless you're going 75 to 85 in and sitting relatively close, 8K's benefit is subtle, while content and console support are limited. One gaming-focused buyer wrote, I used to obsess over 8K. After testing 8K versus 4K at normal distances, I've changed my mind. In 2026, for most people, 4K is the sweet spot. I'd rather put the extra money into a better 4K OLED or Mini LED than a mediocre 8K set. That's money that can't be recouped. You paid $1,500 extra for 8K. Now you realize it doesn't matter and you can't unbuy the TV. Same with refresh rates. People bought 60 Hz TVs thinking it was fine, then 6 months later realized they should have gotten 120 Hz for gaming. Or they bought a TV without VRR and now regret it because every new game supports it. Like the LG UHD series, the one with awful black levels, also has no VRR. For a TV marketed in 2025 to 2026, that's inexcusable. But people bought it anyway because the price was low and they didn't know VRR mattered until after they owned the TV. The smart TV regret everyone's feeling. This might be the most universal regret in 2026 trusting smart TV platform. Samsung's Tizen OS is laggy on budget model. One Best Buy reviewer wrote, "The UI Smart HT Hub is extremely laggy. You tap a button to choose an app or type, and it's seconds later before that button is recognized." Fire OS has gotten slower according to Reddit users. There can be a delay of 1 to 2 seconds when launching an app. That's not a connectivity issue. That's the TV's processor struggling to run the bloated operating system. Amazon keeps updating with more ads and tracking. Would LG WeBoss users report free up more memory messages, forcing them to close apps just to keep the TV functional? Sony's Android TV implementation is described as the slowest smart TV in the house by a light year. And the regret? You can't fix it. Clearing cache helps temporarily. Uninstalling apps helps temporarily. But the fundamental problem, underpowered processors running overweight operating systems designed to serve ads instead of you. That's not fixable. You're stuck with a TV that gets slower every year until it's unbearable and you replace it. Not because the panel failed, because the software made it unusable. The hidden cost nobody calculated. Let me show you the real regret math. You buy a $499 TV. It lasts 18 months before it's too slow or too broken to tolerate. You replace it with another $490 TV. That's $998 over 3 years. Your neighbor bought a $1,200 TV, still running strong after 5 years. Their cost per year, $240. Your cost per year, $330. You spent more money. And you dealt with the hassle of shopping twice, setting up twice, disposing of a dead TV, and the frustration of using a degrading product for months before replacement. The regret isn't just about the money. It's about realizing you made a decision that seemed smart and turned out to be objectively stupid. And the worst part, manufacturers are counting on. They know you'll do the same thing again. Buy cheap, regret it. Buy cheap again. Because in the moment, $499 feels better than $200, even though the long-term math proves otherwise. What people wish they'd known. The pattern in all these regrets is the same. People wish they'd prioritize differently. They wish they'd bought based on panel technology instead of price, direct lit or full array instead of edge lit, OLED instead of budget LCD. They wish they'd bought based on size instead of features. A bigger screen with fewer gimmicks beats a smaller screen with every buzzword. They wish they'd bought based on brand reputation for reliability instead of brand name recognition. Sony and LG premium models last. Samsung budget models don't. TCL and high-ends are hit or miss. They wish they'd bought from retailers with good return policies. Costco's 90-day return and automatic 2-year warranty prevents a lot of regret. And most of all, they wish they'd spent more upfront instead of cheaping out because every person who bought a premium TV and loved it says the same thing. Best TV I've ever owned, no regrets. And every person who bought a budget TV says, I should have spent more. The bottom line, the TV market in 2026 has created an epidemic of buyer's remorse. Not because people are picky, because manufacturers are selling products designed to disappoint. Budget TVs are worse than they used to be. Premium features don't deliver value. Smart platforms are getting slower, and the whole industry is structured around making you replace your TV every 2 to 3 years instead of every 7 to 10. People are questioning their TV purchases because they're finally realizing they've been played. The $499 TV wasn't a deal. The features they paid extra for don't matter. The brand they trusted is coasting on reputation from a decade ago, and now they're stuck with a TV they regret, trying to figure out whether to tough it out for another year or cut their losses and buy something better. So here's my question. What's your biggest TV regret? Was it buying too cheap, too small, the wrong technology? Or is it realizing you should have just bought the premium model and been done with it? Drop it in the comments. And if you want honest reviews that tell you which TVs you won't regret before you spend your money, subscribe NextGen Picks, because the industry makes billions off buyer's remorse, and somebody needs to tell you the truth before you buy.